Hello everyone! Today I want to talk to you about a really awesome and beautiful figure which has just recently become available in South Africa, the highly anticipated Hammond Collection Spinosaurus. I never planned on making reviews for Mattel's figures on my channel before, but in this case I just have to make an exception. Spinosaurus has always been my absolute favorite dinosaur ever, and the design of this species in Jurassic Park 3 has always been very dear to my heart. However, before we have a close look at this work of art, I want to talk a little bit about the Jurassic Park Spinosaurus, as well as the real animal behind it all. If you would like to skip ahead to just the review, go to this timestamp. Also, just quickly to let you know, I'm also currently working on a big video going over my new Rubidia figure and how it came to be. I'm hoping to upload it very soon. When I first watched Jurassic Park 3 as a young child back in the year 2001, I was completely in awe of this incredible creature. Not for what it did to the T-Rex, but because it was just so wonderfully weird and unique. This enormous predator was the largest land carnivore the world had ever seen, with striking colors, a crocodile-like head, iconic roar and sound design, and on top of it all, this powerful dinosaur was from Africa. It would later be revealed that the real Spinosaurus, which lived on our world 100 to 93 million years ago, was in fact very different to its on-screen counterpart. Spinosaurus is perhaps one of the most bizarre and mysterious animals to have ever lived. Discovered by German paleontologist Ernst Stromer in the Bahariya Formation of Western Egypt, 1915, this species is known to us from only a small amount of precious fossilized material, most of which was destroyed during the Allied bombing of Germany in World War II. But from the small pieces we do have, along with newly discovered fossil evidence from Morocco, we can tell that Spinosaurus was indeed a massive carnivore, possibly the longest predatory dinosaur that ever lived, which possessed an elongated snout somewhat similar to modern-day gharial or African slender-snouted crocodiles, perfectly designed for catching fish. It also sported a large sail-like structure on its back, although the exact shape of the sail is still unknown. For a very long time, Spinosaurus was believed to have a very similar appearance to its close relatives, Suchomimus and Baryonyx. Although being much larger, this can clearly be seen in the JP3 design. However, we now know, thanks to new, more recent fossil discoveries made in Morocco, that Spinosaurus was far weirder than what was originally thought. Spinosaurus had proportionately greatly reduced hind legs and a compressed newt-like tail, suggesting this creature was far more aquatic than we once realized. Although exactly how aquatic the animal was is still hotly debated to this day. Spinosaurus has recently had a redesign in the Jurassic franchise for the Jurassic World Rebirth movie, which is closer to our current understanding of this animal. However, I will talk more about this later. Growing up in the 90s, all the dinosaur media presented to me focused heavily on North American and some Asian dinosaurs, while dinosaurs from my beloved Africa were virtually unheard of. However, everything changed once Spinosaurus hit the movie screens. From that moment on, myself and many others have been obsessed with Spinosaurus, and above everything wanted a toy of this incredible dinosaur. Unfortunately, none of the Jurassic Park 3 toys ever became available in South Africa. Quite a few different versions of the Spinosaurus were made by Hasbro for the movie's toy line, including a large and impressive rubber electronic figure that could roar and move. There were also some smaller ones that could make sounds and had limited articulation. All had enormous dino damage wounds which were rather unpleasant and could not be covered up like the classic old Kennard damage wounds. One of my friends at school got the large electronic Spinosaurus when his dad traveled over to Germany, and I remember constantly asking to see it. Just as a little side note, I was actually able to buy this very Spinosaurus from my friend last year, and I still can't believe I actually have the toy that literally blew my mind as a kid. I remember looking through every toy store over here throughout my childhood, but I never could find a Spinosaurus like the one in JP3. I did eventually find the Dino Valley Spinosaurus from Chap May over here, which is really cool. However, it has these weird screw holes which look really ugly, but still nothing that really captured the essence of the powerful animal from the movie. Many years later, when Jurassic World was announced, many really hoped we would get an awesome new official figure of this species. Although we did get a new figure from Hasbro, it looked really bad and was nothing like its iconic movie counterpart. Only when Mattel took on the Jurassic World license for the Fallen Kingdom movie did we finally get a good new Spinosaurus figure, the Extreme Chomping Spinosaurus from their Legacy Collection line. It looked awesome, but did have some quite big issues, including oversized feet, short tail, and limited release. Although something quite special about this figure is that Mattel actually painted all the claws and extended its belly and top colorations all throughout the body, even painting the dew claws, something which is quite rare to see them do to this day. I was lucky enough to get mine through my cousin in London, but if you didn't live in the UK or know someone who lived there, you were very unlikely to grab one of these. Mattel would later re-release the Extreme Chomping Spino several times with various colors and dino damage over the years. However, it was not until 2025 that we finally got the best version of this animal we see in Jurassic Park 3, and the figure many of us have wanted for 24 years, the spectacular Hammond Collection Spinosaurus. Now let's finally take a look at this magnificent figure. I am still completely amazed that we actually have this figure available in South Africa at all. With exception to the Hammond Collection Tyrannosaurus, which was once only found here in a limited release at Checkers hyperstores, we never received any of the other Hammond or Amber Collection figures. So finding the Spinosaurus was a huge surprise, to say the least. When taking a look at the packaging, we see this beautiful depiction of the Spinosaurus on the bottom left of the box, with the Jurassic logo just above. On the right we have the title Jurassic World with the Hammond Collection logo just below, and the name of this dinosaur species. Directly above we have a window displaying the beautiful figure on a blue forest background. Admittedly, I would have preferred the iconic Jurassic Park 3 logo with the Spinosaurus skeleton displayed up here, instead of the generic T-Rex logo, since the Spino logo was just so different and unique in the franchise. I must admit that I believe the Jurassic Park title would have been appreciated more here than the Jurassic World, which has no connection to the Spinosaurus. I also think the dark lettering was a bit of an odd choice on such a dark box. Personally, I think a lighter or a more contrasting text would have stood out much more strongly. At the top of the box we can see the true FX signature, which indicates to us on the back of the box that this figure has premium details for enhanced realism. Looking at the sides of the packaging, we have a picture of the Spinosaurus from the movie with the correct JP3 logo below it, which is great to see. On the other side we have the continuation of the Spinosaurus artwork and the Hammond Collection logo. At the back of the box we have 3 powerful digital images of the figure with the species name of Spinosaurus in various different languages to the left. We have the correct JP3 logo again below, along with more product information. It is important to point out that the packaging for this figure is significantly different to the boxes found overseas. If you would like to see what the different packaging looks like, I highly recommend checking out my friend Marco Make's video reviewing this figure. He also goes in great depth covering every aspect of the figure and its design, so please check it out. Removing the figure from the packaging is very easy. All you have to do is cut a little piece of tape on the left side, and the inside cardboard piece slides out along with the figure. Then just gently cut these ties covering the body and feet. Wow, having this figure in hand honestly just takes your breath away. The colors are so vibrant and eye-catching, and I also really like the beautiful emerald green eyes. Mattel has had trouble with these clear plastic glass-like eyes in previous Hammond Collection figures. The eyes of the T-Rex are a stark contrast, with the pupil being barely visible within the eye. Many people have remarked on how the T-Rex actually looks possessed with those weird eyes. But thankfully the Spinosaurus's eyes look so much better. The eyes even seem to follow you as you move the figure around. The slender crocodile-like mouth is filled with really great sharp-looking rubber teeth, which look really impressive. These sharp rubber teeth are something relatively new which Mattel has implemented in their new more recent figures. They are certainly a big improvement over the teeth on their older figures. Being cast separately prevents any paint potentially rubbing off if your carnivorous dinosaurs become hungry. Being cast in rubber also allows for much sharper and more realistic looking teeth that won't injure fingers. I must however admit that I am a little nervous to open and close the mouth. When you open or close the mouth, you hear an almighty click, which is quite concerning. It almost feels like the slender jaws may snap and break as I move them. I would recommend holding on to the base of the jaws closest to the hinge to try and avoid putting too much pressure on the slender snout. Inside the mouth we also have a long posable tongue with some nice sculpted detail. The tongue will click into an upward position but sadly can't be posed anywhere in between. I must also mention that I would have preferred to have something which would have looked more like a throat back here instead of this fleshy piece. It just looks a bit weird to me. It makes you wonder how the Spinosaurus swallows food. Going down the neck we can see that stunning vibrant orange coloration creeping towards the spine, with a striking lightning bolt pattern erupting across the main body and onto the upper thighs. The sail is big, colourful and prominent, thankfully in much better proportion to the previous mainline releases. At the base of the neck we can see sculpted ear holes, which is great to see. The only other figure I've seen from Mattel that has ears is the new Lab Lockdown T-Rex. We can also see this bronze coloration on the sides of the belly. It kind of reminds me of the older Hasbro Spinosaurus toys, which also have some of this coloration too. The arms look fantastic and sport rubber hands which feel really nice. It's also great to see a large first finger and claw here, which is accurate to most theropod dinosaurs and a trait which is sadly rare to see on most Jurassic World designs, such as what can be seen on the new Rebirth Spinosaurus toy. The figure has very well proportioned feet which look really great, although they sadly did not paint the dew claws, which is an unfortunate trend amongst Mattel. It's rather odd, especially considering the Hammond Collection T-Rex does have all of its claws painted. I must admit the underside of the feet also look a bit too fat and pancake-like for a JP3 Spinosaurus. It sort of looks like the feet are webbed, which would actually make this figure accidentally scientifically accurate. The long tail is made out of a rubber and is also posable, although I am nervous to move it too much as some of the rubber areas on the older Hammond and Amber Collection figures were prone to tear. The figure has great articulation and can stand really well. Many of its main joints will click into position when you move the limbs, which certainly aids in the figure standing. Hi everyone, this is Max from the future. When I first got the figure out of the box, it did indeed stand well. However, after a few days it started falling over. I didn't pose the legs or move them very much at all, so I don't really know why it's suddenly having this problem, but I thought it was worth pointing out. Please be careful and make sure your figure is secure if you plan to place it on top of a tall shelf. You really don't want this big and expensive figure falling and breaking. I've since given the figure a little aid to help it stand up in the form of a kebab stick cut and wedged under one armpit. It's just a simple solution which I've also used for my Beasts of the Mesozoic Tyrannosaur figures. It works fairly well even if it's just a temporary fix. Now back to the review. I must admit that the plastic of the main body does feel quite thin and a bit cheap, to be totally honest, especially when compared to the stunning highly articulated Beasts of the Mesozoic figures, which feel like they're made of more substance, if that makes sense. I must also point out that this Spinosaurus completely lacks a cloaca, which is very disturbing. How can life find a way without a cloaca? Some might say. For a size comparison, here is the Spinosaurus compared to a 1/18th scale human figure, which looks very accurate to the movie. Here it is next to the Hammond Collection Tyrannosaurus, the real feel Mapusaurus, which I made myself, the previous extreme trumping Spinosaurus, and finally the new Jurassic World Rebirth Spinosaurus figure. As mentioned earlier, Spinosaurus has had a recent redesign in the Jurassic franchise for the upcoming Jurassic World Rebirth movie. Although I am grateful that they have given the species a more scientifically accurate design, I am disappointed that we are not getting to see the return of the iconic design from JP3. The original Spinosaurus truly made a huge impact and really stood out amongst the other dinosaurs in the movies. Just the roar alone is so powerful and recognizable. Something which cannot be said for the new Spinosaurus, judging by the sounds the figure makes, which seem very generic. Almost like it was designed by AI, as some of the things about it just look very off and are not in accordance to what is scientifically known for this animal, including its weird short fat neck and bizarre skull morphology. By contrast, the real Spinosaurus is thought to have a very long, flexible and gracile neck, with a single prominent crest on its head. The Rebirth version seems to have two small-looking crests instead. It also lacks the larger first finger and claw, which is well known from the Spinosaurid family, particularly Baryonyx. Instead, having all three fingers being the same size, it just doesn't sit right with me. Going back to the Hammond Collection Spinosaurus, I truly adore this figure, and I still can't believe that I actually have it. It is a true treasure and certainly deserves a worthy spot in anyone's collection. It is without doubt the best official JP3 Spinosaurus figure we've ever got. Although there are a few things that still could be improved on, it still is a fantastic figure and a huge leap forward for Mattel. The Hammond Collection does have a few hits and misses, but this Spinosaurus is certainly a big win. Let's hope we receive many more of these beautiful Hammond Collection figures in our local shops, and I can't wait to see what's to come. I would honestly like to give Mattel a huge thank you for this figure. It is a true dream come true, and I still can't tell you how exciting it was to actually find this figure in my own country. Please continue to sell your Jurassic dinosaurs across the world. Thank you for also listening to the community and giving us better proportioned dinosaurs. If I can make one small request, please paint the dew claws. It really makes a difference. I also want to give a huge thank you to the Jurassic community for making your voices heard regarding problems with Mattel's figures over the years. Together we have made our concerns known and Mattel has listened. My friend Marco Makes has for years provided better proportioned feet for many of Mattel's figures, and I believe his work has played a huge part in the better quality figures that we now all can enjoy. Please check him out if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and if you would like to see me cover and talk about more of Mattel's figures, please let me know. Huge thanks to my wonderful Nile Crocodile tier patrons, Joseph Schoeter and Sam Allred. If you would like to support me too and help me grow, please check out my Reptimax Patreon. Hope to see you all again very soon.